Hello, welcome to my channel, Edible Thoughts Makes. My name is Stephanie, and today I have a featured finished project video for you. In these types of videos, I usually keep them under 30 minutes. I go through the pattern specifications and all the details that are given prior to purchasing a pattern if it is a paid-for pattern. And then I go into my process and my modifications, my yarn choice and pattern pairing. And then at the end, I share with you some outfits that I plan to wear or just am inspired to pull together based on the colors and the fit and the style of the garment that I have made. And those items may or may not be other things that I have sewn or knit or crocheted, or it could be also ready to wear store-bought items. So today, the garment I want to share with you is the Ship Shape. It is by Heidi Kirrmaier, a Canadian designer, and this is a paid-for pattern. I will be sharing screenshots on the screen here, so I want to make sure you don't miss anything. And if I need to correct myself because I've misspoken, I will also try to correct it on the screen or in the description box below the video. Links to projects that I talk about will be in the description box below the video if they are knit or crocheted. Sewn items are not on Ravelry. I do include closed captioning for all the videos that I share here on YouTube, so you will click on that CC button. And also, if I speak faster or slower than your preferences, YouTube allows you to adjust the speed. I purchased the pattern when Heidi put out an update to the neckline for this pattern and ran a little discount. I believe that was April of 2025. It is now June of 2025. This pattern was published in May of 2021. The design is knit seamlessly and top down. You start with two separate pieces for the shoulder gussets that are these triangular shapes. And then the yoke is a drop shoulder raglan hybrid. This is a new to me garment construction, and that's what drew me to this pattern. I thought it would be really fun to play with stripes and lines and directions and just a different construction. Elements that I was very familiar with, but not necessarily all put together in one garment. You do start out with knitting flat, and then you join in the round to knit for the body and for the sleeves. The skills required are knitting flat, knitting in the round, doing increases and decreases, and picking up stitches. The intended fit is 4 to 7 inches of positive ease around the chest. The body length can be knit, cropped, or full length, just up to you, and know that your yardage will vary if you adjust any of the lengths in the sleeves or in the body from the pattern. The pattern is written for long sleeves. As you can see, I knit mine short sleeve. Pattern recommends using a DK weight yarn or combination of yarns that gives you the same pattern gauge and fabric. It doesn't recommend something that's super open or drapey because the neckline in the original pattern is knit without ribbing. Mine looks a little different, and I will talk about that in the next section. The yardages are given for both colors if you are to stripe it the way it is written for in the pattern. I modified that slightly as well, using more than 2 colors. Pattern gauge is 22 stitches by 30 rows in 4 inches, and the recommended needle size is a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needle. It is a size inclusive pattern. The pattern is written for size XXS to size 6X, ranging from 33.5 inches to 70 inches of finished bust circumference. The part I had mentioned about her updating the pattern in April 2025 was to reduce the width of the neckline. It is meant to be a boat neck with no finishings in the neckline, but the pattern made a couple of addendums where the shoulder gussets could be knit a little differently with slightly different pickup stitch rate so that it would accommodate a narrower boat neck. I made some modifications in my neckline so it doesn't look exactly like that, but I did do one of the modifications for bringing it in a little, and then I added some more to it. Now let's get on to my process and modifications. So the yarn I used is by Pearl Soho. It is the Santolina base, 70% organically grown cotton, 20% rayon from bamboo, and 10% hemp. It comes in 328 yards for 100 grams, and hopefully there will be a picture of it here on the screen to show you the different colors it comes in. I purchased all of my yarn in different stages, I guess, because they were yarns from previous projects as well as a main color that I purchased from a spring sample sale. I don't remember if it was from 2023 or 2024, but it's like a terracotta pinky brown color that I really like. And I combined that with a lighter peach lily color that is a very pale peachy pink. And then I also joined in this color that is more of a true pink called Blossom Pink. And I ended up using 115 grams of the main color, which is this terracotta pink. I used about 4 grams of the peach lily color on both of my shoulder gussets. And then I used about 78 grams of the Blossom Pink, which is in all of the striping in the body and in the little bit of the sleeves. So in total, I used about 197 grams, which is the equivalent about 645 yards of this yarn. I consider this yarn to be a heavy fingering weight or light sport weight. It is completely plant-based, and plant fiber yarns tend to behave differently from wool fibers, and they tend to be heavier, so the yardage per 100 grams is also less. So sometimes it can be tricky figuring out if it's like fingering weight or sport weight. I believe on Pearl Soho's website it's listed as fingering weight, but I would think it's slightly on the heavier side of fingering weight yarn or a light sport weight. And I've certainly knit this yarn in various different gauges. My biggest draw to it is that it is machine wash and dry, which is perfect for summer because summer comes with sweat, sunscreen, potentially bug spray, potentially sand, all the things, all the elements. And so I want to be able to just throw it in the wash and lay it flat to dry or put it in the dryer and have it ready to go for the next time I want to wear it. And I find this material to be very breathable. I did go up a needle size to a US 5 or 3.5 millimeter for the main. And for the pickups, I did stick with a US 3 or 3.25 millimeter just to keep those pickups tidier because this yarn doesn't have a lot of bounce back or really any bounce back. I feel like it can lead to gapier pickups. There's no fuzz to really like fill in any of the gaps. And so having that edge be a little bit tighter, I think helps it be a little bit neater. The pattern doesn't call for any I-cord bind offs, but I did it in my short sleeves and I did it in my neckband. And for that, I used a US 2 needle, I believe, because my I-cord bind offs tend to be on the looser side, so I often need to go down a needle size. And in this case, I mean, I was just doing my own thing. So I figured the US 3 would be too loose, so I went down to a US 2, which I think is a 3 millimeter needle. If I'm incorrect, I will correct myself here on the screen. So I found this really fun. The instructions super clear. I liked the layout. There was like a kind of a chart layout for the different sizes to mark out the different number of stitches that you needed to knit and the repeats, and I found that really helpful. I don't usually see that in other patterns. I feel like it's usually written out in like a sentence form and the different sizes are divided up by commas or by parentheses, but this had a chart format, which I actually really liked. I thought it was easy on the eyes and easy to follow. I didn't have it blurred between a bunch of other lines or text and things like that. So that was something that was surprising to me because I hadn't seen it before and I really liked that format. I love these triangular striped shoulder gussets. I think they were really fun to knit and a really great way to play with color. I used so little yarn in these sections that I feel like you could use up leftover self-striping yarn for this section if you wanted to. The gauge is 22 stitches, so if you are using fingering weight self-striping yarn, it might look a little gapey, but you'll just have to play with it and see what works for you, or you could add another maybe lace weight yarn with it. It doesn't have to be fuzzy. It could just be a lace weight yarn that's not fuzzy. I guess it also depends if you are planning on knitting it as a warm weather item or a colder weather item. The suggested yarn in the pattern ranges from wool, I think, to a cotton wool blend. I'll put it here on the screen. I have not knit, I think, with any of the suggested yarns that are listed in the pattern, so I'm not very familiar with them, but there are other ideas also on the Ravelry pattern page. So I followed all the pattern as written in this top section. I did pick up for the neckline later to do my own thing. I was just nervous that because of my yarn choice that it would just keep stretching out and eventually just get way too wide. Also, because it is a boat neck, there aren't any short rows written in. So the front is identical to the back in the pattern, and I knew I wanted mine to be a little bit different. I do like having short rows in the back to raise the back of the neck, which also doesn't make my garment ride up as much in the front. Again, I know it is a boat neck, and actually there's another pattern that's written similarly but with a crew neck. I might try the crew neck pattern for a fall version of it in wool. So then I knit the pattern length as written, and I carried my yarn on the sides. I did not cut with every stripe because they're pretty short stripes. I'll show you how I twisted them here on the sides. Hopefully it'll show up. I just twisted them along the edge, and I didn't do anything really to prevent a jogless join or a jogless stripe. It's on the side. It isn't very noticeable. I chose low contrast stripes, and I would just make sure that it wasn't too tight or too loose when I was transitioning from one color to the next. While I'm standing up, I'll show you that I did a split hem, which is not written in the pattern. I wanted to do a split hem also to make the back slightly longer. And one way to do that in a pattern that has stripes and to not disrupt the stripes is to do a high-low hem. So I did that by doing a split hem. I split it between 2 knit stitches. So the ribbing is a knit 2, purl 2, and I just split mine in half at the knit stitch. I did not slip any stitches on the sides. I just left it like that, and I knit the back maybe an inch or 3/4 of an inch longer than the front. I really like that look. I think it looks great for a warm weather garment, and it's very comfortable. The other change I made was to the neckband. So in the original pattern, there's no neckband. If you look at the pattern page, some people's photos have ribbing on the top. I decided that I wanted to knit some short rows in the back. So I'm going to turn around and hopefully it will still be in focus and you can see it. So the back has this little bit of a wedge, about an inch of the main color. So basically what I did was I picked up all the way around, and then I calculated out 70% of the stitches, and I did short rows and marked the center back. So I just did short rows for about an inch back and forth using double stitches for German short rows. And then once I was satisfied with how big that wedge was, you can see it comes into the front just a little bit, which then brings in the side of my neckline a little bit. And then once I was satisfied with how that looked, I bound off with an I-cord. I think it's called an applied I-cord when you do it as you go and finishing off. I don't remember. And for that, I used a US 2 needle. And then I finished off in the center, and I just grafted those last 3 stitches to the beginning. I think this gives it a very tidy finish, and it also gives it some stability. This yarn is not something that has a lot of bounce back, so it'll just keep stretching out until I wash it and dry it again, and it'll just go back to how it started. But I didn't want my neckline to keep getting wider and wider or get stretched out, so the I-cord really adds some stability and gives it a nice polished finish. I did the same thing with my sleeves. There's a really unique way of joining here, and I don't want to give away any secrets. So there was hardly any sleeve to knit, and then I did an I-cord bind off there as well. I feel like that also gives it a very polished finish. It cinches it in slightly without having to do any decreases, and it just looks like it won't get stretched out with wear or like moving around or flare or anything like that. So I really enjoyed this tee. It is so breathable and so comfortable, and I just love that this is something that I can wear all summer. I think that's everything I wanted to share about my process and my modifications and my yarn choice. Now I am going to flip the camera vertically and share with you some ways that I think would be fun to wear this item. All the items I brought out with me are things that I have sewn in the past, including what I'm wearing with it right now. And let's get started. So first up, I have it paired with this Kaufman Essex cotton linen pair of pants that I made. This is the Tyler trousers. It is a free pattern by Janet Celeste. And it's a really fun pattern because it is a zero waist or low waist pattern where the part that you cut out of the pattern pieces is used in the pockets. And it starts out as, I think, one large rectangular piece of fabric. I've made several of these. They are an elastic waist pant that you can add drawstring to if you want. These are a light pink color, and I think they work really nice with this top. It's very comfortable. I feel like this is one that I could easily wear to the beach or to the park or traveling. I would probably wear this with strappy sandals, although sneakers would work just fine as well. On to the next. Here we have my peachy gingham June pants. This is a pattern by Canadian company Helen's Closet. I made these ones to be ankle length. They are wide leg pants. It is a cotton fabric, super comfortable. I really like the gingham with the stripes. I feel like they play really well together. The color is in the same color family. I think these are really fun. It says summer and spring to me. I feel like this is also something that is very easy to wear all summer and stay cool, but still have a little sun protection. And I can definitely see myself wearing this. All right, next one. Here are another pair of June pants by Helen's Closet. We have the pockets. This is a Mauvey Daisy print, 100% cotton. We've got the elastic waist. I find these to also be very comfortable. Of course, I made several of these June pants last year. These ones are also full length or about ankle length. And I think this floral print is really fun with the stripes. It's a little bit different in the sense that there aren't any shared colors between the two, but I feel like they are a fun mix and match pattern. All right, one last one. Here I have a self-drafted tiered linen skirt. This one does not have pockets because I wanted to be able to wear it in any direction since every side is a little bit different. It is a combination of fabrics from other items I had made, and I wanted to use up all the scrap remnant that I could cut out in shapes that would work in here. And so we've got this warm brown, a light pale pink, and this plaid of blue, purple, and pink. This is probably about mid-calf length. I think this is also fun to wear with these stripes. We've got the play in plaid and stripes and color blocking. The color family is the same, and it just says summer and spring to me. I feel like this would also be something I could put on those strappy sandals. This would be an easy travel outfit because either of the items can be mixed and matched with other things to re-wear. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to share with you today about the Ship Shape by Heidi Kirrmaier. I had so much fun making this pattern. I just love stripes, and the different construction was really fun to try. I could definitely see myself making another one. I might try it in wool for a fall or winter garment. I may or may not try purchasing the crew neck version of the pattern. The neckline would be the only thing that would be different. The rest of the construction, I believe, is the same, and it's the same gauge. So I don't know, we'll see what I decide to do. Maybe I'll just do the same boat neck, but try a different kind of neckline for it. Maybe it's something that's like a funnel neck. I could do short rows in the ribbing of the funnel neck. I don't know, there's so many options. I hope this video inspired you to give this pattern a try if it's something that you had your eye on, or maybe to demystify some of the little things about the pattern that you weren't so sure about. I also hope maybe you got some inspiration for how you might make this your own in terms of colors, stripes, modifications, what you would wear it with. There's so many ways to really make something your own. Cheers to being creative, and I'll talk to you next time.